Mm-hmm. Well, wonderful last week. We've been so excited, even in the process of sitting down with you. But I got to start, and I wrote it down because our chairman of the National Newspaper Publishing Association, Bobby Hughes, we were talking about your latest viral book. And here it is, a vindictive, wow, villain violates voters' vision for better America. Not give me a little bit of stuff. I mean, look at big body, whatever, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, so B6 came from literally me looking over at Marjorie and dressing her down from head to toe. But when it came down to this, I absolutely wanted to play on B6 because I knew a lot of people knew me from that alliteration, but I absolutely did not want to repeat it, even though it would apply to you as well. I wanted to go a little bit deeper and give him his own alliteration, and so I actually started with voting. And so I think that that's where this election starts to jump up. It's about votes. So I started with the word vote, and then I was like, I'll work from there. And so I worked it up to backwards to where I was like, where's the victory? And so and then I was like, where's the victory? And so, and so I went through all these things. It definitely is easy to think of all the violations so it just all made sense and it worked out, and I would say it has me a lot at this point because I do think that it really summarized everything that I said on the arch very
Now, for and watching, it hasn't been easy at all. I mean, you didn't expect it to be easy certain times. But what could have been for MAGA?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of times what people see is my legal background. I consistently had to show up and I had to show up and I was easy to underdog because when you're on the defense, the state has everything. They got the detectives, they got investigators, they got the prosecutors, and then it's like little your mind, right? I mean, it is tough and it is it's and a lot of times we got to do this too, but nevertheless, like it's very tough. And so I've always had to punch back and fight back and fight really, really hard for something that I believed in because it was my client. So being in this very aggressive atmosphere, I'm actually used to a lot of aggression. Like I know how to deal with it. I just thought that I wouldn't get as much aggression in Congress.
I would imagine so to get some bills passed and things
Yeah,
of that nature. But
yeah,
of course, the opposition hasn't passed anything. Let me ask you about. So last night, of course, everyone was looking forward to the Obama course. And, love Michelle, love Barack, but Monday, Secretary Clinton, I've been looking for y'all, AOC, and then you. And I tell you what, how did it feel when you're nervous? First of all, when you're nervous to go out and this sounds like this is the home of Michael Jordan. Who's on these championships here, and I'm sure the crowd noise went through the roof. But the other night, I felt like Michael Jordan won the championship when you got up there. How, were you nervous at all? And what was it like being on that platform discussing Kamala Harris and discussing the bill?
so I will tell you, I don't get nervous. I don't get nervous. I was just explaining that I was at Rocket City Festival. I was in concert for it, and here it
Yeah,
is.
I'm a Broncos lover now, by the way. I gotta tell you, I've been thinking Broncos lover after seeing you there. But go ahead.
And I wasn't nervous at all, right? Like, if this is the place where like nobody wants to see competition. The game is to see everybody like grab a seat and love things. But I was nervous as hell. 2 hours before this speech, like I was losing. And my staff has never seen me get nervous. And so they were like, they water with me. I ended up with this headache. I was really struggling, and I was struggling not because I didn't have confidence in the speech itself, but because I understood the gravity of the moment. And for me, this was like needing to deliver one of my best closing figures in one of the shortest amounts of time for one of the biggest clients I've ever had. And that is how I approached it. And so I knew that I did not want to disappoint her. I told the story of our initial interaction,
Yeah, I was gonna mention
but
that.
it has not been our only interaction. And so I tell people all the time that I'm one of her favorites. I say that because that's how she makes people feel. And I usually ask people, especially when I'm going to talk with organizers or donors, I say, have you ever met her? And I want to know more feelings because I'm like, for me, you feel like she really sick, like she
Right,
really
right.
checking for you, which is great, right? Like so she just makes everybody feel great.
You mentioned in your speech that early on, she really helped you out.
Yeah, no, like seriously. And so I was concerned about letting her down because the other side of this is that you can't find where another black woman professional has never been allowed to advance the
Right.
especially in front of other.
I actually wanted to be heard.
So I also was concerned about essentially failing and making it to where they say you can't ever discipline that again. So
You
I
put a
was,
lot on yourself.
I did. So I was getting like super duper worked up, and I could not unwork myself. And so I stood there as Jamie was on the stage. Jamie Raskin was delivering his words, and they messed up his teleprompter, so that only added to the nerves. And as I was standing there, I just bowed my head and I prayed, and I was like, God, I'm just asking that you use me and that you calm me down so that the people can hear the message. And so ultimately, I at the moment I walked on the stage, it was almost as if God gave me the biggest push ever. And I was good. Like as soon as I walked on the crowd started cheering, it was like I was like, oh, I'm good. Like I'm good. And I felt from there.
Okay, wait, because she's gonna go and I got to get my question in. Okay, okay, all right, Jasmine. So I hope you can hear me. You know, James Baldwin said, "I can't believe what you say because I see what you do." Okay, and so there was a Pew Research recently that said Black people don't believe in institutions because we're the most disenfranchised. And so what I like you to tell me is, you know, how will a Black woman, right, in this moment change the attitudes, and you know how does her being in this position change that? And I want you to look this way when you do it, because
So,
like,
I'm gonna tell you this. One of the things when I talked about the pressure that I felt, one of the things that I want to be clear-eyed about is the expectations. Because electing a president like a Kamala Harris will not necessarily change your life in today, and it necessarily won't fix everything. It's going to take more than that, right? What we've seen is that our rights have been trampled upon by this Supreme Court, and we're stuck with it for a minute, right? And so I want people to understand that we still have limitations because I don't want them to see this and say, well, she failed. Because she's going to need a house, she's going to need a Senate. And frankly, we got to figure out something about the Supreme Court as well to begin to realize the fullness of the greatness that she could do in our lives. Now, as it relates to the systems and the institutions themselves, well, you can change who's at the top of these very systems. That is the beauty of being the president. We saw that we ended up with the Secretary of HUD. There was a Black woman, Secretary Fudge, and the difference it made because from her perspective, she could see that when it comes to housing, they want to devalue our homes, which is then affecting our wealth or our generational wealth. You know, these are things that she understood. But when you have somebody that doesn't understand that, then the system is not going to be changed to make sure that it works for everybody. So when you can change who's at the top, even like tonight, we will hear from Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Secretary Keith. He is a gay man. So guess what? He knows what it is to have his rights trampled upon. So the Civil Rights Division still exists within the Department of Transportation right now. And because of crazy decisions that come from the Supreme Court around the affirmative action and things like that, they have preemptively, which usually we are in a very responsive stance, decided to change some of the rules around what they call 8A. And 8A really has to do with small businesses having an opportunity to participate. We're talking about infrastructure. It ain't just about getting a better road. It's about making sure we know who's building on those roads and those airports and things like that, and making sure that we are getting the contracts as well. And so it gets really deep. But the point is, if we are to succeed, we've got to have economic opportunities. And that is something that she will understand, and she will make sure that whoever becomes the secretary of these various agencies will make that a priority, whether it's the Secretary of VA, whether it's the Secretary of Housing, whether it's the Secretary of Department of Transportation, so we can start to make those changes. But I just want people to understand that nothing will happen overnight. You all gotta give her a team. You gotta make sure that she has Jasmine Crockett and a few others in the U.S. House to make sure that we can put her message.
Thank you so much, and I'm gonna hit you up again. Okay, thank you. Thank you, babe. Okay. Huh? No.
Hello.
Yeah, let's just move that mic a little bit. Just just get right there, just so that.
Anybody got a bottle of water?
Here it comes.
We can start whenever you all are ready.
All right, so obviously we're here. Someone who needs no introduction at all. Representing Vaccine Waters out of California, and Khalil Thompson. Khalil, so what they did, we know that the black men were able to pull off the day after. Of course, black women take the lead. Of course, always. But we're gonna start with you. Usually say you first, but we always gotta give Representative Waters the last one. No one controls the show like Auntie Maxine, but tell us about that Monday. I mean, you saw the Black women that Monday. It must have put a little extra pressure on you, but tell us about what went into that and your how do you see it unfold on that.
The pressure came because we are a college organization to show up for them. We show up for ourselves. We make sure we support them in the right ways. We can ask questions, we can be appreciative, we can make some policy position. But there's a very clear choice here. You know, we can choose someone who's going to stand up for our communities or choose someone who's going to destroy it. I think, and I believe, my person is going to be the left. Make sure she's going to see the best of what's coming. So on that Monday and on the Sunday, we really got together. We had to make sure we did something monumental. We did not know the way that we did, but we're excited. We have another call this Sunday. Organizing more.
Awesome. And Representative Waters, you've seen a lot, obviously. Last week, Vice President Harris, really President Biden at the time. Have you seen this type of enthusiasm before?
No, I have not. And it is really to see what is happening. This is about Black women and there's some things I've got in general, thing, but we spend money on what we want to spend money on.
Yes, we do.
Is that right?
Yes,
and
we
we've
do.
always done that, and people have never understood that.
Right.
That Black people spend on what they want to spend on. And so Black women in particular, and a lot of Black men, have not really felt the need to really spend money on politicians and politics, because actually it did not really relate to them in ways that they could feel. But when you feel it,
Yeah.
we got the money.
There you go.
Well,
Yes.
so we know in 2020, Biden and Harris ran on saving the soul of America, saving democracy now. When you talk about African Americans, and you can answer this as well,
Of course.
but when you talk about African Americans, what resonates? What do you see resonates the most? Do we really respond to saving democracy?
We don't think about it that way. And I have to, kind of describe it this way. We are fighting for diversity and inclusion. We're fighting for, getting Black people up to the C-suite. people who have worked in these financial institutions for so long but have not been able to move up. We're talking about getting our rightful place in this country. And we talk about affirmative action. We can call it whatever we want to, but we want to realize the benefits of our talent. We work hard. You go to school, you graduate, you do everything that you're supposed to do, but we still can't seem to get there. These banks that are in my committee, they're gangster banks. That's what they are. And they do not move black people up to management and C-suite. People want to hear about that. They do want to hear about closing this wealth gap. These young people are interested in business. They want to know about where to find this capital. Where does this money come from? The banks don't give it to them. Of course, we in my committee, we've created what is known as CDFIs, and we absolutely created PPP during COVID.
Yes.
When they used the money, they created their own panels and gave it to their privileged clients. Nita Velasquez and I went back and got another $60 billion and put it out to the MDIs, the Minority Depository Institutions for the banks, and put it out there. So these resources, the access to capital, this is what they want to hear about. How do I get started? How do I expand my business? How do I connect with the government in the procurement process? I've never been able to get a government contract.
Right.
It goes to the old white boys all the time. And so this is the kind of talk that they want to hear. They want to hear about what you're going to do to get the homeless off the streets.
Yeah.
And so on and so on.
No, of course. And Congressman, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
We know that our black dollar only turns over one time in our community.
That's right.
We know other communities can turn over 10, 12,
That's
15
right.
times.
That's right.
If we're going to increase that wealth gap for us, we have to have black businesses that are owned by black people in our community so those dollars come back home. I think we obviously need to invest more in black women-owned investments in our community. So it always starts there. And then you mentioned about where we do in our political contributions.
Yes.
Our community is the highest ethnic community that gives to 501c3s, but we haven't been able to translate that to see how that dollar can then equal into a vote in the political space. So if we're able to show that, obviously supporting our congressional members at the federal level, but our judges, our sheriffs, our district attorneys, that you may run into the grocery store, that you're going to have a greater impact in your day-to-day lives, I think more of our community members can see that political investment going further.
And Khalil, let's go back to that Monday again. What have you found that really has ignited black men? Because we hear a lot about the Ice Cubes of the world,
Sure,
and the others who are seemingly leaning Trump or supporting Trump. But we didn't hear a lot, or put it this way, the media doesn't pay a lot of attention to what you guys were able to accomplish when you have all these black men raising all of this money. And look at the smile he has now, Auntie Maxine. Y'all all was smiling that Monday night.
we were. Well, look, first we need to have more media outlets like this one so they can hear from our community directly. That's number one. Then we need to be able to make sure that we can come together in a space. We all don't think the same. Black men, black people, not a monolith. There are 5 major black male fraternities. They don't stand for all the same things, so they can't all speak to all black men. And I said it on the call that Monday night. Roland may have his cowboy hat. I may have my Jordans. It doesn't matter where you come, but when you walk out in the world, we're all black men.
Right.
So I just think Ice Cube and others, they're just misinformed. They haven't gotten all the facts. And what we are here to do at Women Black Men is make sure we can share all of that truthful information, make sure they get the right information at the right time before they go and vote.
Now, you obviously, and many of us were there to see the election of Barack Obama. Now you have Kamala Harris, Vice President, on the cusp. You look at the polls, and I know that we got to be cautious with the polls, but you look at the polls even today, this convention is not over. And usually the candidate gets a bump from the convention.
Right.
She's 5 points ahead right now, according to the polls. What would it mean to you as a black woman to see that moment where that glass ceiling is officially broken by a black woman?
Well, to tell you the truth, at my age, I've seen a lot. And I've seen black women denied, abused, misunderstood, disparaged, on and on and on. And to see that we now have a black woman who is competent, capable, served as city attorney, attorney general, United States Senate, vice president. And we can see that we're now going to be represented at the highest level. It is thrilling. It is absolutely thrilling. And to tell you the truth, it makes me believe that the work of all of the black women who are talked about, the Harriet Tubman, the Shirley Chisholms, the work was not in vain. That we've come to a point in time where women are being respected, black women are being respected, and opportunities are going to open up even more.
And Khalil, we see the disrespect, the misogyny, and more than that, or just as much as that, the lack of coverage that this vice president gets from mainstream media. They will cut into a Trump rally,
Of course.
and they will ignore a Kamala Harris rally. They may give you a summary, but they won't cut into it.
Very true.
Is that more of an impetus for black men like yourself to get more involved, to dig your heels in more?
Well, I want to say first that I think we'd be remiss if we didn't think about Stacey Abrams in Georgia in 2018 and 2022, where black men didn't show up the way that we should have to support her. We can't make that mistake here. So what I saw on that Monday call and I've heard since is that we believe in someone who truly is a part of our community, who has our best interests at heart, who is going to serve us well, but we're not going to rest there. So we're working on policy positions now that we can take. As I say this often, I think many of us got too engaged in the culture in 2008, and we necessarily wrote a blank check to Barack Obama. Now, I believe in him, and I still do, but I think we have to figure out a way that belief and accountability are not two separate things. We can still believe in Kamala Harris and make sure we hold her to the same high standards that we would hold Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, or anybody else that occupies the White House in 1600 Black Lives Matter way. So I think it's a conversation about what is in the best interest of our community and continuing that kind of accountability throughout.
Representative Watts, is there something that you might look for in President Harris that perhaps you didn't get with President Obama?
Well, when I talk about the wealth gap, it is very important to understand that the president has a bully pulpit. In addition to the members of Congress of the same party who will work on the same issues. And I think that now is the time that our asset managers and others have access to the money in federal, state, and local government in the pension plans that they can invest like the white boys do and put that money into businesses who would never get money from the traditional institutions, create jobs that would never happen, but for the fact that they have the money and they have invested it in ways that will increase the possibility of those businesses being successful. So yes, I think that a lot has been learned. And of course, it's not easy to learn how the systems work. The systems are designed to serve a certain, group of people. And that's white people, for example, and white men in particular. And so, in understanding that the systems were not designed to include us, the more you learn about how to undo those systems, the better off we are able to close that wealth gap and get us involved not only in the ability to contract and to understand how the procurement systems work and how we can put this money out into the community. So that's what I'm looking for.
Would you encourage a Harris-Walz administration to expand the Supreme Court?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, when I look at Biden, and the fact that he chose a black woman for the vice president and he put one on the Supreme Court. For me, he said that he was going to have our backs. He said, you all have our backs, I'm going to have your back. And he did. He's done that. And so I think that the Supreme Court needs to be expanded. And it needs to be expanded because they are able and have been able to get the right-wing conservatives under, say, a Trump, and they have been able to literally undermine the Constitution of the country. And when they gave him immunity, I was through with him. I was finished.
What gentleman do you know in California that can have 39 felonies and still have a job? Fly a plane, go to a rally.
I don't know any black boy who can steal a loaf of bread. and not go to jail.
Very true.
And so, yes, I support expansion of the Supreme Court. I support, the possibility and opportunity that we can have more people on the Supreme Court who are truly about justice and fairness. We don't want anything special. We want fair. And of course, Clarence Thomas is the worst thing that ever happened to the Supreme Court, and he's a crook.
Wow. We heard it.
Congressman, I'd like to answer a quick question as well. You said yourself, you owe the divide.
Yes, that's right.
And you've been in this job
That's right.
for a very long time.
That's right.
Right? What would you say is the most significant thing that's happened over the time that you're in, from the time that you came, you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed? What would you say the most significant change took place over, the last 50 years?
Well, I don't know. I have to give a lot of thought to it. When I look at my career, starting out in the California State Assembly, we made Willie Brown the Speaker. And Willie Brown was in a position to help put us in strategic positions. And I was able to create what was known as the emerging opportunity for asset managers who are Black to be able to have access to the pension fund. We have the largest pension funds in the country, and none of that was going to Blacks. And so I brought in Blacks from all over the country who was able to have access to that money and to put it out into our communities. Now, I think that was significant. We had something good like that happen in New York, who was the controller at the time. And so I want to see more of that. That was significant because that opened up some opportunity for access to capital. I did begin to see more Blacks getting elected to office in my lifetime. When you look in the South, you'd be surprised. In a lot of these little cities and towns, we have Black mayors and Black people who are sitting on the city councils and all of that. The numbers have exploded in the number of Blacks during my lifetime that are serving in these various places. But what needs to happen is when we get elected, we cannot be traditionalists. We cannot do like the others before us have done because they were not like us. Oh, Kendrick Lamar. They were not like us.
Listen, leave it to Auntie Maxine.
Well, Kendrick on there.
Right. Khalil, before we let you guys go,
Yeah.
What's next for Win with Black Men?
So we have two missions that we're trying to accomplish. One, we're going to organize, going forward, 1 million Black men in each of their states to show up on the early voting in their state capitals before Election Day. Second thing is we're going to try to get on all of our 13 remaining calls between $1 to $5. If 50,000 Black men show up and we give that to a down ballot candidate, that changes the race for that candidate. We can now have a very transitory effect of I gave my money, I voted, I've now put somebody in office that can work for me. Wow. Those are two things that we're working on.
Wow. Okay. And finally, Auntie Maxine, your message to not just Black America, but to America ahead of Election Day.
I would like to say to America that change has come, and it has come in a way that we did not expect it. And it's a short period of time that we're able to grasp and understand that we're moving in a new direction and that we have some new opportunities that are going to open up. We have a Black woman who's going to inspire and motivate. And a lot of young Black girls, for example, are going to look up and see that this is a possibility. I think what you see in Black men, they are saying, we're going to demonstrate our support for Black women. We're going to do exactly what nobody really expected us to do. We're going to raise this money. We're going to organize in ways that's going to turn Black men out to vote. And let me just say, don't allow Trump and the rest of them to tell you they're getting all of these Black men. They're not. They're getting some Black men and some, like Lil Wayne and others, that they pardon. Hell, if you were in prison and somebody pardoned you, you'd say, yes, I support you. But what I'm saying is thank him, and I want to know how much money you gave him, and then say thank you, and whatever I've done, that's enough. You can't misuse me. Bye-bye. Yeah. But you don't disparage them and say they're crazy. They're not crazy. They got out of prison. And so let's leave them alone. And let's just say, thank him. And again, like I suspect, that you paid a lot of money for this. And thank him and say, thank you. And of course, I did what you asked me to do. And so now I've got to go with my people. And I've got to be about the business of electing Kamala. And so I don't want everybody to believe that there are large numbers of black men. Of course, there are some, and some may have some doubts, but they are not going to pull the majority black men over to Trump. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, Khalil, a star who's still rising and a true living legend, Auntie Maxine. Thanks for joining the Black Press of America.
Okay.
Really appreciate it. Khalil,
Thank you, sir.
Thanks
Thank
so
you for
much.
having me.
And
Thank
thank
you.
you all for joining us. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much.